Cross now live to London, where our UK correspondent Jonathan Sacerdoti joins us. And Jonathan, this news breaking just in about Boris Johnson. What more can you tell us?
Well, at this stage, we knew that Boris Johnson was considering whether or not he would resign. David Davis having stood down after the meeting in Chequers that the Prime Minister held on Friday. David Davis was, of course, the Brexit secretary, and he felt that he could not continue in that role negotiating with the European Union on the basis of what Theresa May had decided to hold the cabinet to. After that, it was only a matter of time before other pro-Brexit Conservative cabinet members might decide what their future was in the cabinet as well. Boris Johnson was, of course, the main one we were all watching. Boris was one of the people who stood up front and centre of the Leave campaign before the referendum, and he was known not to approve of this semi-deal that Theresa May had put together. It was a question of whether or not he would keep with cabinet collective responsibility or whether he would decide instead to step down and say that he couldn't go along with what she's proposing. And now, of course, he's stated that that is the case. It throws her entire leadership into question.
Jonathan, what does this mean if we can make the assumption at this point for Prime Minister May's future Brexit negotiations?
It doesn't just throw a spanner in the works for Theresa May's future Brexit negotiations, but possibly even for her leadership of the Conservative Party and therefore the country. Because if she's unable to hold together a cabinet and she's unable to push forward with a united front in terms of the government's position on Brexit in negotiations with the EU, she may well be challenged as leader in general. And that could be disastrous both for the Conservative Party, which, remember, doesn't have a proper majority in government, and also it could be a disaster for those Brexit negotiations. Nothing seems to have been agreed, even within the government, let alone with the European Union itself, and the time is definitely running out in that respect. However, if somehow or other this forces a tougher line on Brexit from the government of the United Kingdom, they may then go to Brussels and things could move very quickly with perhaps a tougher line in terms of what Britain is asking for, which may in turn result in a different kind of Brexit, but might push negotiations forward. But of course, it could also end in what they call a no-deal Brexit, one where the European Union and Britain can't agree exactly what the terms of the exit are, and instead they default to the World Trade Organization rules, which some see as a disaster, but plenty of hard Brexit MPs think would be just fine to take Britain into the future outside the European Union.
All right. Another reshuffling of the cards for Brexit negotiations. We will, of course, keep following this story throughout the day. Jonathan Sacerdoti, our UK correspondent, thank you very much for joining us for this breaking news story.